What's
That's
up,
just
guys?
how we start.
Welcome to your Welcome to your mom's university episode 2. I hope you all are having an amazing day today. We're doing pretty good. Things different from last time. Maria's hair is platinum blonde at this point. She looks kind of spooky. No, I'm just kidding. You look really
cut
nice.
it all off.
You look nice, yeah. She cut it all off. It looks blonde. It looks really good. And for me, I don't have pink eye anymore. I'm still an ex TikTok star. I still haven't got my account
I
back.
haven't even heard from them.
Dude, I got like an email from them and they were like, "Oh, there's a lot of tickets right now. Like there's a lot of influxes of messages from a lot of TikToks. That's why it's taking so long to get back to you." That should tell you that there's a problem with the app.
Yeah, then
like,
your app sucks.
if there's so many people fucking complaining right now. But yeah, I'm in the works talking to them right now. I still haven't gotten my account back, so I'm still an ex TikTok star. But I have been pumping out the vlogs. I got 2 vlogs out on my main channel right now. I'm posting every Tuesday and Saturday, so make sure to go check those out. They're going to keep getting better and better and better. I'm getting more confident in public doing the pranks and everything. Maria hopefully will get better at filming. She's just not used to the idea of filming yet.
I get
It scares
so
her.
nervous
Scares
in
her.
public.
So I don't know if you sense like our energies are a little off today. There's some reasons for that. Maria is getting her COVID shot
I'm
later.
so scared.
She's terrified to get it. She doesn't like injections or anything. I mean, who does, honestly? But like, she's getting her shots.
I'm so
later.
weird because I get so excited to get tattoos, but as soon as I have to get like an
It's
actual
literally
shot,
like 5 seconds. They just shoot it in
panic.
you. It's like
Absolute
not a
panic.
big deal. But yeah, that's what's up with her today. For me, I'm just chilling. I'm out here just making content every day. My pink eye's gone, so that's pretty cool. I'm feeling pretty nice.
You just got another video up on your commentary channel too.
We do,
don't you?
yeah. We did He's All That, the Addison Rae Netflix
I
movie.
gotta watch that.
It sucks though because like I posted my kissing booth video a few days ago, like a couple weeks ago actually, and that got taken down for copyright reasons. So I only have the Addison Rae movie on my other channel right now, but we're trying to fight that back as well. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've been having a lot of
It's been a
bad
hard
luck
week.
lately. But yeah, yesterday I fucking felt like hell because like I woke up feeling completely off. Like I was editing the day previous to yesterday and I just felt so nauseous all day, so tired all day. Like I slept till like 4 o'clock p.m. roughly.
I know. I came home and you and Sarah were both like on the floor, passed out. I
Yeah.
was like, "What's going on?"
I have a severe caffeine addiction, everybody. Like I didn't have a caffeine like at all yesterday morning when I woke up. So I was struggling the whole day and my allergies were really bad, but I'm feeling better today now. So that's good at least. I got my coffee. It's pretty good. But yeah,
Gotta get that coffee.
we're doing
in.
better today though. But yeah, so guys, the weather is getting colder for where we are at least. It's coming into the fall season. School is starting back up. Like a lot of your parents are going back to work next week,
Yeah,
right?
they're like setting up their classrooms and stuff,
Yeah,
and the
so
kids are good. They started sports.
School is coming back, which means holidays are coming back. And
Yes.
you know the first holiday that's coming back, and that's fucking Halloween, my dudes.
Halloween.
First of all, right off the bat, there's a ton of great movies coming out. You got
so happy.
Yeah, you got Halloween Kills, you got the freaking Candyman movie.
Candyman, I cannot stop getting
Dude,
ads for
it's
that
so
movie.
annoying. Like last night, I was literally on my phone, like just going through YouTube. I never get ads for like horror movies like during the day, but if I'm on my phone at like 3 in the morning, I'm just watching fucking Mr. Beast or something. A fucking ad for Candyman comes on, or like another horror movie, like The Conjuring 3 or some shit.
I got it the one night I was leaving work. It was like freaking 10:15 at night, empty parking lot, pitch black outside, and the first thing that comes on when I turn my car on, it connects to my phone and a Candyman ad starts playing.
Like, why does it do
I'm
that?
just sitting out there alone in the dark. I'm like locking my doors now.
Don't get me wrong, like I love horror movies, but I don't want to see the trailers for them at like fucking 3 in the morning
No.
or 11 o'clock at night.
That's
But that's
terrifying.
That's what happens. YouTube is out there watching you, bro. They want to scare you and shit. But yeah, so Halloween's coming up. The movies are coming out, which brought me to the idea to talk about, are ghosts real today? That's the big question. Like, are ghosts real? It's a huge controversial topic. Like, I'd say like one out of every 3 people, there's one person that believes in ghosts and then 2 don't. I think there's more people that
Really?
don't believe in ghosts than do believe in
I
ghosts.
thought more people believe than not.
No, I think it's the other way around. Every person I ask, they're like, no, I don't believe in ghosts. I either think like they don't want to believe in the ideas of ghosts because they're
scared.
afraid of it, or they just don't believe in ghosts. Like it's one of the two. But I think people are just so afraid of the idea that they're like, no,
Well, it's
that can't fucking,
horrifying, so.
that can't fucking be real. For us personally, we're that 2 out of 3 percentile. The 2 out of 3, we both believe in ghosts
both.
personally. So I think it would be really cool to talk about like our experiences with ghosts. And
Why we believe in them.
like the idea of the question, like, are ghosts real, opens a variety of different questions. Like, do you believe in even the afterlife? Do you believe in a heaven or a hell?
Like
Do
a
you believe in
god and
demons
demons and
and
that
shit?
kind of
That
stuff.
shit's
Because it
terrifying,
all
bro.
connects, and I think that's part of why people like who don't believe in ghosts don't want to go down that road. Because once you do, it's just a slippery slope into
It
like
is.
really like way worse stuff,
No,
bigger
yeah.
questions that you don't want to
I'd
have to think
rather
about.
I'd rather deal with a ghost encounter than a fucking demon encounter.
Yeah,
Like, if that shit's
that's
real.
terrifying.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about some stuff. We'll start with you first. I would think that'd be pretty cool because I have fucking crazy stories. I'm gonna foreshadow here. I'm pretty sure I have like a sixth sense. I'm not even kidding.
You definitely have a heightened intuition when it
Yeah,
comes to that
and
stuff
I think
for
that
sure.
shit like attracts to me. Like, it
Yeah.
tries
You
to
have a
find me.
strong.
I'm not
It's
even
people
kidding.
with the stronger energy that
I'm
it
like
attracts to.
I'm like a beacon of light for ghosts, and that's
That's
not
not a
fun.
good thing.
No, but like, we'll start with you first. Like, what was your first major ghost encounter or spiritual encounter you've had in your life? Like, it could be anything, demons or ghosts, angels even. Like, we're covering all the aspects like of everything like for this
So,
stuff.
my very first time encountering any like thing like that, because I grew up, my family's like very religious, so we didn't really talk about that kind of stuff. It was more taboo.
Yeah.
So anytime I like brought it up, we weren't even allowed to watch horror movies and stuff as kids, so it was very like discreet, so I never really knew much about it. And then my best friend growing up, I stayed with her a lot. Her house was built on an old Indian burial ground, so there was a lot of energy, a lot of spiritual stuff just on the property. And I remember when I first talked to like her and her mom about it, I was like, no, like that's not a thing, like
That's what they all
God
say.
and stuff,
That's what they all say.
And then I started staying there more and more, and we ended up spending like a ton of time together on the property. And we would take like pictures at night, like around a campfire, and we would see like the orbs like around my head. And like they fostered this little girl who had been through a lot of serious stuff, and you would see the orbs around her where the spirits were like protecting and looking out for this soul that's kind of just in a bad place because they
Hmm.
can tell that. And she was telling me a story, and specifically the one night where their carbon monoxide had started leaking into the household, and her mom woke up to what she thought was my friend screaming because she was a little girl
Yeah.
at the time. And she woke up and like went to check on her, and she was like dead asleep. And she went downstairs, and I think it was like their furnace or something was wrong. And so she like turned it off, and their house would have literally had like burned down and killed them all.
Is that even like a ghost or like an angel?
It's, I don't know, it's some kind of a spirit. And so from that day forward, she did research on like the history of the like Indian tribe that had been living on the property and like the family that had lived there, and got a picture framed of like the little
Oh
boy
shit.
from the household and framed it and kept it on their wall. And all through high school, all the time I knew her, that picture of the family that used to live there was framed and hung on the wall, and they never had any kind of a like bad issue. Anytime any kind of bad negative energy found them, like somehow things worked out weirdly well, which was kind of, it was just like interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
um but yeah, that was like my first real
We got
encounter.
plenty of stories, guys. That's just one of the many. Like, we even
This was actually the topic that really pushed us to start a podcast.
No,
Was
yeah,
ghosts.
because we have so much shit about like outside spiritual
Yeah, that's
concept.
like a gentle one. I'm starting off really
Yeah.
soft. But what about you? What was like your first encounter with any kind of a spiritual energy?
All right, so I've had plenty of experiences with spiritual contact. Some of them I'm not even gonna say on this podcast, but I will give the most basic ones. I'll do the one with my grandma. Okay.
Yeah, that one's creepy.
I guess my first major ghost story that's ever stuck with me that still gives me chills to this day is when I went to my grandmother's house. So my brother and I and my cousin went to my grandma's house for a sleepover. I was probably like 8 years old at the time, and they were both 10, I'd say. Like, we were really young, like in grade school and stuff. And my grandma lives in this giant mansion. I wouldn't say it was like Victorian style. It was more of like a modern style, but it was definitely built in like the 90s.
I'd say it's more
Yeah,
Victorian,
I'd
actually. It
maybe.
is.
I don't
Like, it's
know.
got like the old brick and like the candles in the windows and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, it has old brick, but like it's not like really scary to look at, I guess, but it is at the same
It
time.
definitely has Victorian aspects.
It does. Yeah. and it's in like this neighborhood that's very dark, and there's a lot. It's a very woody spot, so already off the bat, it does look like the setting of a horror movie. So the house itself is kind of creepy. It's very big, very cold. There's like 16 rooms in the upstairs, and like the downstairs is very large as well. So it's a very big house. So my cousin, my brother, and I, we went there for a sleepover just for fun, and we were in the same room upstairs, like one of the fucking 16 rooms up there. We all decided to stay in the same room because obviously we were scared to stay in different rooms because it was so fucking big. And I'd say it was around like 2, 3 in the morning, and we were just fucking around, just being little kids, like making jokes, being loud and whatnot. And out of nowhere, we hear footsteps walking up the stairs, and it was kind of like a winding staircase in a sense. Like there was a lot of stairs. Like it would go up, and then it would go to the left, and then it would go up again, and then it would go to the left, and then up. Like that's
Oh,
how many
that's
fucking stairs were there. There was a lot of stairs, and so emphasis
so
on
many
stairs.
stairs.
So we heard footsteps coming up the stairs, and I was like, oh shit, grandma's gonna come yell at us because we're being too loud. It's like
Yeah.
3 in the morning and we're being fucking idiots. So I'm like, guys, turn off the fucking lights and we're gonna get in bed and just pretend to be asleep and whatnot. So we do that, and the footsteps are still coming up and the lights are off in our room, and we hear the footsteps go right outside the door, like they're right out there. And then they walk past the door. And then they walk past again. And then they walk past again. And at this moment, I was like, oh, it's my grandma. She's just checking, like just making sure there's like no bad people up there or anything else. Just checking the
Yeah, just looking
situation,
around.
because there's kids in the house. So she probably wants to make sure they're safe and whatnot. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to tell my grandma that we were being too loud and we're going to go to sleep now. So I get out of my bed and I open the door. I look out to my left and there's no one there. I look out to my right and there's no one there, and it's just completely dark. And immediately I had goosebumps shoot up my fucking spine because I was like, holy fuck, that's a ghost. And so I close the door and I tell my cousin and brother, I'm like, oh guys, there's nobody fucking out there right now. And they're like, oh my god. And we were just so freaked out the rest of the night, and we didn't even go to sleep that night.
I
Like
don't blame you.
that was like our first major experience. And what makes me believe it's real is because we all experienced it. It was not just me.
Yeah, it's not
Like
like it's one
we were
person.
all awake, we all heard the footsteps, we all ran in our beds and pretended to be asleep and everything. And
That's crazy.
we all heard the same fucking thing. So I'd say that was like my first major ghost experience, and I definitely believe it's real because the vibes there were just always off. Like my brother and I, we had like this old digital camera. It was like this little red camera that you put batteries in, like double A's and shit. It was like our first major thing that we had that was like really cool. So we took pictures of everything. Like everywhere we went, we took pictures of just random shit because we thought it was the coolest fucking thing in the world. So we decided one day when we were at my grandma's house as well, we were gonna take pictures of just in the house because like it's a very beautiful house. I,
It's
I will say that.
beautiful.
Like
It
my
is.
my grandma is rich as shit. Like it's a very big house. It's very ornate. There's a lot of decorations everywhere. There's chandeliers, very high quality stuff around. So we were just like, we're just gonna fucking take pictures. Like we weren't gonna be like, oh, we're gonna find ghosts. Like we're gonna take pictures of shit to go ghost hunting,
Yeah.
or whatever. We were just taking pictures. So my brother was just snapping pictures of every room in the house, and the chandelier room, it was like completely dark. Like all the lights were pretty much on in the house, but that room was dark. That was the only room that was dark at the moment. It was like dinner time. I'd say it was like 9 o'clock, and my brother just takes pictures in there because like he's like, why not? I just want
Yeah,
to see what it looks like in the dark. So we go home that night, and we're just at home. We're like, let's go check out the pictures and everything. Like just see like what they
This
look
is
like,
terrifying.
like to see what they look like and everything. And in the chandelier room, there's this vase in the corner of the room. It's this big vase. I'd say it was about like 4 feet tall. It was like the
Mhm.
height of my brother and I at the time because we were short and everything, but it was our height. And we look in the corner, and there's a figure standing behind the vase, and it has like a skull face. Like it was a very gaunt face. You can make out the eye holes and the mouth, and that's really all that you could see. You could even see like little hair just like in the front, and then you could see the neck, and then you could see this body, and it was like this black type of suit, almost like it was like a communion suit. It was like a kid ghost. That's what it looked like, but you couldn't see the eyes. It was just gaunt face with
That's
like hair in the front,
horrifying.
and it was the size of the vase. We deleted the picture. because we were afraid. We showed our parents and they were like, "That's fucking scary." They were like, "Oh, it could be like a Matrix thing. Like it could just be like some eye trick or whatever. It could be
Mm.
something." But there was no fucking way. We deleted the picture because we were so afraid that like it would like come to our house or
Oh
something.
my
But like,
gosh.
dude, the vibes in that house were always scary. Like we always felt like there was something there. There was like the air was always cold, and it almost felt like when you were looking in the house, there was like a fog over everything. Like you couldn't see clearly. Like there was always like this slight fog and
I would
heaviness
never go there
to
ever.
everything. But yeah, that was like my first experience, I'd say. It was like at my grandma's house, and like we saw some stuff like that. And my fear of ghosts became way more and more embellished because like I grew up watching a ton of horror movies and stuff.
You've
Like
seen like every
I
freaking horror movie
I
under the
love horror
sun.
movies, dude. Like I used to watch them since I was like probably like 8 or 9 years old, because like even when my mom was heavily into horror movies and stuff, and she wouldn't even know I was in the room, and I'd be sitting behind the couch like watching it because like I was so invested in them. I just found the idea of paranormal activity and monsters like so intriguing to me. But I think subconsciously it made me more afraid of them and made me feel like, oh, they're real and stuff. And like I started thinking about my experiences and my childhood, like at my grandma's house. I'm like, wow, this shit actually is real and
Yeah.
everything. And that leads to a whole different variety of stuff that's happened to me in my life
It's so
that's
freaky.
terrifying. So
I remember even driving by your grandma's house.
yeah,
Like
it's
now that I think of it,
terrifying.
it was
It's
vibes were
literally
off.
it's literally like a horror movie
It
house.
is.
Like
It's
you could see it
terrifying.
in a fucking horror movie like Paranormal
That's
Activity
actually that's the
or
exact
some
thing I
shit.
said when we
Like
drove by. I'm like, this
not
looks
even
like a
kidding.
horror movie house.
Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Anyways, I don't know. I feel like I should get into other stuff. Um, I'll bring I'll get into my sixth sense ability. I think I have a sixth sense type of thing where
I don't know if it's a sixth sense or you're just
I
like,
think I do. I think
what is it
it's
called when
being
you're
in
like in
tune.
touch
Yeah,
with stuff?
yeah, I'm in tune with stuff, and I predict like bad things are gonna happen before they're actually gonna happen. Sometimes, like with spiritual stuff, like I know when there's like bad vibes and shit like that. My biggest story that I think is really interesting is I think I had a demonic experience in my life that I could sense there was like a demon in the place that I was going. So I had this crush when I was 16 years old. I was like 16, 17. I don't even remember. Anyway, I think it was junior year going into senior year. Or no, no, it was Halloween time actually. This was a Halloween party. So I was probably in senior year actually. This was senior year when I went there. I was a senior at the time, and I was going to this Halloween party at this girl's house. Um, I had dressed up as like this the purge guy, the guy that was wearing the suit and the mask and everything. And so I went there with my buddy, and we were going into the house and everything. I remember like I stepped out of the car to go to this party. I was really excited and stuff because I was gonna hang out with this girl and everything. And literally as soon as I got out of the car, I felt an overwhelming sense of nausea, and my head started like it was hurting so fucking bad. And I was like, what is wrong with me? This just came out of nowhere. Like I was literally finding the car, listening to fucking Juice World and shit. And then I step out of the car and I immediately feel like I'm gonna fucking pass out and throw up all at once.
Oh my god.
So I was like, fuck it. I probably just have like hypoglycemia or some shit. Like I'm like hungry or I need a drink or whatever. So I'm like, I'll be better. I'm just gonna go do that and just it'll be okay.
It'll be fine, yeah.
So I'm getting closer and closer to the house. Like we were like parked in front of the house and I'm walking up the driveway with my friend and everything. And I just keep feeling more and more nauseous as I'm getting closer to the house. Like I just keep feeling more on edge, anxious, about to like throw up and everything, headache getting worse. And I get to the door, and my crush's mom answers the door, and she's like, "Hey, Zach, everybody's in the basement right now. Just go down there, and I hope you have a good time tonight and everything." I'm like, "All right, sick, sick, sick." So I'm in the house at this point, and my ears start ringing at this point, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, "What actually is wrong with me? I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Like this is really fucking bad." So I'm like, I gotta be fine though. Like my crush is here. I gotta be cool. I was like, am I nervous to see her or
Yeah.
anything? But I was like, no, I'm not. Like I was fucking excited. Like I was ready. Like we even had matching costumes and stuff
Aw.
and everything. I was so excited. I was like, this is the night I'm gonna fucking make my move and everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous. I was excited. And I'm walking down the stairs and everything. And I feel literally so bad at this point. Like I was like, I'm gonna fall on my face. And I don't know what's wrong with me. I couldn't hear anything. Like it was literally just like
Oh, That's the
And my
worst
left and right ears, like
feeling.
it was like my whole cheeks were like fucking hot. My ears were ringing. Everything was like I was like spastic. Like I felt like I was tweaking. Like I was like on drugs or something. Like that's how bad I felt. So I'm walking down and down and down the stairs, and I reached the bottom, and this is when I felt my worst. Like right when I reached the bottom, and something in my head told me look to the right, look to the right now. So I did. I looked to my right, and my eyes, I shit you not, fucking tunnel vision, and I see a Ouija board right there, and
I
they're all
don't
playing
fuck
it.
with
There's
that.
like four people playing it, and my eyes are like tunnel visioned towards it, and something like clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, that's why. That's why I feel so bad right now. Like I knew immediately. Like
That's
I didn't
so
know I knew, but like my
crazy.
subconscious knew. I was like, this is why I feel bad. I didn't know why. I still felt really sick, but I was like,
That's
that's
why.
that's why. Like there's like something bad. Like something's not right. Like there's a
Yeah.
vibe, and that's when everything clicked in my head. I was like there was like the vibe when I was outside. Like the ambiance was bad. The energy was dark. But then when I got into the basement, everything clicked in my head. Like oh, that's the source. Right
Yeah.
there. That's what it felt like.
Dude, I don't
And
mess with
so
that.
the
No.
whole rest of the night, like, cause I couldn't leave. I stayed there for like 3 hours. One, I didn't spend any time with that girl at all, because I felt so bad. Like I was literally
Jeez.
so on edge the whole night.
Why didn't you leave?
I wanted to leave. So here's what I did. I was walking around there and I like trying to be normal and shit. And my friends were coming up to me, like girls, guys, and everything. They were coming up to me like, Zach, are you crying? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not crying. And they're like, Zach, there's like tears in your eyes, like literally balls of tears. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, I
gosh.
wipe my eyes and I'm like, holy shit, like there is, like there was. I didn't even know they were there. Like my eyes were fucking watering, like so bad. I didn't even feel anything of that. I just felt really like bad. And I was like, dude, I'm not crying. And like, I couldn't even control my eyes. Like, they were just fucking wet. So I was like, there's something off here. Like, I just felt so off and wrong. So my friend Joe and I, it's fine. Shout out Joe if you see this. But like, my friend Joe and I, we left the basement because we both felt off. Like, we didn't enjoy the setting or anything.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if he, I don't know. I honestly don't know if he was feeling the same thing I was feeling. But like, I felt like there was bad energy there. I don't know if he felt the same, but he was like, Zach, let's go. Let's just go for a walk. And so we're walking around the neighborhood and everything. And I felt literally fine at this point. Like everything was perfectly fine. And obviously we had to go back to the house at that point because like everybody was there.
Yeah.
As soon as I get back to the house, immediately feel bad again. My eyes start watering, my head starts hurting. I start feeling nauseous
That's
again.
so
It is
crazy.
crazy. And then when I left the party and everything, I get home, I'm fine. I'm literally fine. Like everything went away. It's like my brain sensed there was a demon there and it was like, Zach, get the fuck away from that house, like right now.
Yeah, there
Like
was
get the
some
fuck
kind of
away.
bad energy
There's
for
something
sure.
bad energy. And that's when I stopped talking to that girl. Like literally actually mostly because of that reason. One, she wasn't like the best personality. Two, I just had bad vibes after that night. Like I
Yeah,
was like,
no,
there's
I
something
wouldn't.
off. I don't know what she's doing behind the scenes. Like if it's like witchery or Ouija boards by herself or whatever. That's literally the reason why I stopped talking to her because like that fucked me up so much that night. But yeah, that was like one of my major demon experiences. But like, I actually want to get into your story now. Your car crash. This is
Oh my
what this is the
gosh.
other side of things. Like where there's
The
like I think
good.
there's
There's
like
good
I
here
think
too.
where there's like a bad thing, there's always an equal opposite, and that's the good. I believe in demons personally, so there's got
I
to be
believe in both.
there's
There's
got
gotta
to
be
be
an
angels.
equal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think we had an angel experience, and I think you should get in
Yeah.
that story because like that affected you. Like
That's
it's
scared.
crazy.
It
This
was
story's
so
nuts.
freaky. So I was at college at the time, and I had borrowed a friend's car to go pick some friends up. They were like waiting for the shuttle back to campus, but it was gonna be a bit, so they're like, "Hey, can you just come grab us?" And so I was like, "Yeah, like no problem, whatever." So I head out and I call Zach because it was like during the winter.
Sorry.
And so I was just like, "Hey, like I'm gonna be driving. I just wanna like be like I love you, whatever," because I've always done that since I was a little kid with like my parents and stuff. Just icy roads and stuff. I never want to leave on a bad note. So I text him and I call him real quick as I'm walking out, and I like he hears me get in the car and stuff, and I like turn the car on and everything, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let you go. I'll head out. I'll call you when I get back to campus. And he, out of nowhere, this is something he's never done before, like completely different than any of our conversations prior to this one. He goes like, "No, I didn't hear you buckle your seatbelt." And I kind of laugh at first because I'm like, "Oh yeah, like haha, whatever." And like I hadn't, but I was like getting to it. But it's something he had never said before. And so I'm like, "Okay, like yeah, I'll buckle it. I'm gonna let you go. I gotta head out." And he's like, "No, no, no. Like I want to hear it click." And I was like, are you good? Like, I'll buckle my seat, relax. And like I said, never
I've never
mentioned this
done that
before. Totally
in
random.
my life because like she would call me like when she was like we were talking all the time. Like she was at her college, I was at my college, so we would call each other all the time. And like if she was getting in a car, I never thought to say buckle your seatbelt or
No, it's
anything.
just like, I
But
love
that
you.
night
I'll
in
talk to you
particular,
later.
she's like, "All right, I'll see you later." And I'm like, "Wait, buckle your seatbelt." And you're like, "Yeah, I will." And I'm like, "No, I want to hear that shit click."
Yeah,
And
it was
then she
so
literally
random.
and she clicked and I was like, and I don't even know like it's like something in my head didn't even tell me to say it. I just said it.
Yeah, and we were
Like
both
it was just
like,
there. Like I just
what?
fucking I was like I just said it. Like I wasn't even thinking. I was like, "Oh, do that." I was like, "Wait, I want to hear that shit click. Let me make sure like you actually
Yeah.
buckled." That's so weird cuz like nothing in my head told me really to do it, but obviously something did cuz like what
Yeah.
happened next?
So we're driving around. I go pick up these girls, and for some reason, there was some kind of argument about who was sitting up front, who was sitting in the back. So they both ended up sitting in the back seat too, which actually is, thank God for that as well. We're heading back to campus at this point. We're coming up on a light, and as I'm coming up on the red light, I'm like tapping the gas or the brakes to like slow down and stuff, and it's not doing anything. So I'm like, oh crap. So you pump the brakes if you're trying to get them to stop. So I'm doing this and I'm like getting absolutely nothing. It's just air at this point. It's not even squealing or anything. And so I start panicking a little bit because like we're coming up on the intersection and I'm like, very good chance we slide through it because the car will not stop. And so we're going through, I'm pumping the brakes, and at this point I'm like panicking. I'm like, okay, like I have to get the car to stop in case someone flies through. It's icy out. Other drivers might not be able to stop, and I have two people in the back seat with me. So I slam the brake all the way to the floor, and I'm still not getting anything. And thankfully, after about a second or two of like holding it down all the way, the brakes squeal, and it just stops like that. Like the brakes completely seized up on us. So thankfully, like we didn't slide through very far. Everyone was okay, but because like there was no impact, none of the safety measures deployed, and we all got like kind of launched forward a little bit. The two girls in the back kind of bounced their heads off the seat. I bounced off the steering wheel and stuff a little bit, but it wasn't anything like super bad. However, once I got back to campus, I called Zach and I was like, bro, like had I not been wearing my seatbelt, that could have been like, you know, way way worse than ended up being because I ended up regardless I ended up in the hospital a couple of days later just like with some internal swelling and I've had concussions in the past so it messed my brain up pretty bad just bouncing it around.
Yeah.
So had I not worn that seatbelt, like that could have
Could have
easily
gone right through the
been,
windshield.
yeah, or like ended up with like a serious brain injury or something, or ruptured an internal organ, which is just so scary. Like it was such a random thing. It wasn't even anything that severe, but like because I've had a history of other stuff, it like ended up with some side effects that could have been amplified tenfold had I not been buckled into the seat because nothing like the seatbelts didn't lock or anything either.
Yeah.
So I needed any safety measure I could. And like you had never said anything before. It was so freaky. I remember I came back to campus like crying and I called him
That's what makes me believe in the sixth sense
and
type
I was
shit.
like,
Cause like
yo,
why do I always do shit like that?
it was so random. I remember I told Cal that night, I'm like, Cal, cause that's my roommate's nickname. I call her Cal. And I told her, I'm like, yo, I gotta stay with this one. Like, he legitimately just saved my life
That's
potentially
fucking
tonight. Like,
crazy.
and I was sobbing. Like, it was so scary.
Yeah, that's
Like,
nuts.
everything about the situation.
That is nuts.
I was like, that's some, like, freaky soulmate shit right there. Like, I'm so thankful for it, though.
Yeah.
Like, for real.
Damn.
But yeah, that was definitely, like, a positive aspect of it. Because I had some negative stuff at that school, too, with ghost stuff.
That's sure Devil's Hole.
Yeah.
That shit's no joke.
That was no joke. I've been there 2 or 3 times. I think I've been there like actually, yeah, I've been there like 3 times, and 2 of the 3 times have had incredibly negative experiences.
Well, yeah, the demon like followed you to her house or some
Yeah.
shit, right?
So we went down. I went with like a group of friends the one night, and like as we were getting closer, it was kind of similar to
Well,
the.
explain to them like what Devil's Hole is first, like
Oh yeah,
in your
yeah.
campus, because they don't even know what this is probably.
They're just like, where are they going?
Yeah.
So Devil's Hole, it's a state park in Niagara Falls, and it's an old.
It was
There
a battle took place
yeah,
there.
it was a battleground. That they kind of turned into a park. You can take the trails and blah 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 blah. And it's like it's super pretty during the day. It's like not a big deal thing, but for some reason I went with some friends at night the one night and we were like, "Oh, we're going to go screw around at Devil's Hole at night." That's a smart choice.
Hell yeah.
And as we started getting closer, it was similar to what you were dealing with, where like my ears started ringing and I just started getting a headache. And I'm like, guys, like I'm not feeling good. I'm gonna turn around. If you guys want to keep going, go nuts. But like, I'm gonna blast. And they're like, "Oh, you're fine. You're just being dramatic. Blah 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 blah." And I was like, "No, like I don't screw with this stuff. Like I've seen enough of this kind of thing to know when like it's not your business. Like
Yeah.
turn around." I'm not gonna be the basic horror movie person who's like, "What's in this dark
Let's go
basement?"
discover.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I know when it's
Nah, fuck
time
that.
to time to go. So I turned around and they ended up going with me because they're like, maybe we should blast. And as I get back to campus, I just have like this really weird like feeling. Like I just feel off. And I remember I went and I'm like, maybe I'm just tired. Like I'm just gonna go wash my face, brush my teeth, and go to bed. So I go into the bathroom and we had like the dorms were horrendous. I was so terrifying. So I went into the bathroom and I'm like alone in there and I start washing my face and I just feel like the only way I can explain it, felt like someone took an ice cube and just like went up my spine. Like just like slowly
Fuck that.
dragged it up my spine. And I'm like, I have my head down in the sink washing my face as this is happening. So I like lift my head and there's a mirror, of course, because you're in a bathroom.
Yeah.
And it was just like everything just looked foggy and weird. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'll brush my teeth in the morning. Left and went to bed. I was like, I'm just, no,
There's
absolutely
definitely
not.
ghosts on that campus though.
That
like,
campus
low-key.
is
That
horrifying.
Campus is fucked, dude.
So I go to bed. I like lock my door. I like turn the doorknob, make sure it's locked, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no. And for the next few days, I'm having like similar things where I just feel like there's always someone standing behind me and stuff. So I go home. It was right before a break. I go home for the break and I go to my house. And I had a finished attic at my house that I lived in at the time when I was home between semesters. And I'm laying up there the one night and my parents are at work and the kids are at school and stuff. And so I'm just laying up in my bed and I hear what sounds like it's an old house. So I figured it was just like a mouse in the wall, but it sounds like scratching.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, that's kind of unsettling, whatever. And so I think my brother was actually home at the time because I called down to my little brother and I was like, hey, buddy, can you come up here? Because the scratching started getting louder and louder. And so I'm like, Noah, Noah, Noah. And as soon as like he said like, what? It immediately stopped. Like it wasn't like it slowed down and stopped. It just out of nowhere from being at like an 8 out of 10 for how loud it was, it just 0 as soon as Noah responded. And so I called down to him. I was like, oh, never mind. Like, I figured it out. It's all good. Like, thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
And this happened like 1 or 2 other times where I would hear the scratching. So I stopped sleeping up there because I got scared. So I slept down in my living room because my parents' room was downstairs.
Yeah.
And I was sleeping on the couch the one night and I had like kind of mentioned to my parents what was going on. And so they had, like I said, they were religious. So we had like a Bible and some stuff out. And so I had that next to my bed and I went to sleep. And I woke up the next morning and the Bible was on the floor.
Fuck,
And I was
dude.
like, okay,
Fuck.
this is a problem.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like I think I'm gonna go like talk to somebody about this because this is
Yeah.
terrifying. And the following day was the scariest thing. We had like a sunroom off of our kitchen. And we had like the old like tiles that you could, I don't know if most schools have them or if it was just mine was old, but you could like punch the ceiling
Yeah,
and
they
pop
know.
the tiles
It's like
up.
drywall type shit.
Yeah, so we had that in our sunroom. And so they're all like obviously set in place like they're supposed to be. And I'm in my kitchen and I'm like making breakfast, home alone again. And all of a sudden I just hear this like crash and I like look in the sunroom thinking like something fell off a shelf or something and one of the tiles was like popped up like
Yeah.
into the ceiling. And so I ended up going to a church and like talking to some people and they think that something had like
Followed you from Devil's
me.
Hole.
It wasn't like demonic. It wasn't like bad. Like I never woke up with like the
It
scratches
sounds like a
and stuff,
poltergeist.
but it was just like screwing with me.
Yeah, poltergeists are like spirits that like screw with you. Like they're playish
Yeah.
ghosts. They're like the playish, mischievous ghosts.
Yeah, it wasn't like
That's what it is.
harmful. I was never in harm's way, but I just always
Yeah.
felt like I was being followed and like
Fuck
I'd get
that.
cold and like things
Fuck
would move and it was
that,
really
dude.
sketchy. But as soon as I went to a church and I like did prayers and talked to people or whatever they did,
Yeah.
it stopped happening.
Dude,
So
that's crazy, man.
thank God for that, because that was not a fun period of time. I
Yeah.
remember calling you. I was so scared.
I have more for me too.
You have scary ones. I just have like weird
Mine are
ones.
just bad because like I went out of my way to find this shit,
I
and
don't.
don't ever
Don't do
fuck with
it.
the dead guys, and don't like try to find spirits because that's when they do attach to you and shit. It's a very dangerous game to play if you do believe in that stuff. But we're trying to convince you that yes, they are real because like
They attach to strong
they
personalities
do.
too, and weak people don't go
Yeah.
searching for it.
Yeah.
That's just fact.
I went searching for this shit because I found it so interesting to me between all the horror movies and the stuff that I had happen to me when I was a kid.
You're like
Like
fearless about it,
I
which is
wanted
dumb.
I wanted to like see if it was real. Um, you can't make this shit up because like I know people are gonna be like, this is a fucking ghost story. He's just fucking around. I can't make this up, but I can swear on my mom's life that all of this is real. Like everybody that I care about, I can swear on their lives is all real. You take it from that what you want.
Yeah.
So this is probably like my most scary night probably of my life with like demonic entities and like ghosts and whatnot. So I was with a group of friends. It was like a couple guys and I. We went to Darien Lake earlier that day, and we decided at around nighttime when the park closed, we're just gonna go. We wanted to hang out still, and we were like, let's go to fucking abandoned buildings and stuff, you know. And this was in Lockport at the time, and we were like, okay. There's a lot of stuff in Lockport where you live. Like I don't even know. You probably guys don't. There's this place called Lockport. It's in New York, and there's a lot of abandoned buildings there. So we went to this abandoned train station, and it was around 11 o'clock at night, and we were gonna go walk there. It was like a mile walk from our car to get to this train station. So we were walking on the tracks and everything, trying to get there through all the weeds and everything. And there's this building at the end. It's a train stop, like where people would go board on the train and leave the train.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably around like a 40-foot length building, I'd say. Um, so we get into the building. We get in, and it's like completely dilapidated at this point. Like there's like nothing inside of it. It's just this empty, bricked out, like broken building. So we go inside, and it's like a wood floor, and there's a giant hole in the floor. I'd say it was like a 15-foot diameter hole, and it was like really fucking big, and you couldn't see down at all. Like it was pitch black. Like that's how dark it was. And we didn't even know how deep it went. I assume it's the basement of the train station,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say it was probably around 20 feet deep because we dropped like a rock down there, and you could just hear it like hit the bottom, and it seemed like a pretty decent distance. Like if you fell down there, you would have been fucked. So that's really what it is. Like there would be no way out. Um, so we're just standing around this hole, like all of us. I'd say it was like five guys and whatnot. And we were like, let's just like echo into the hole and shit, because like we're fucking stupid. Like this was in high school and shit.
It's
And I was
just
like,
echo.
like say shit like penis or whatever. And so the first thing that we said was hello. Like we said hello, like we were like hello,
Yeah.
hello, like
Classic.
fucking like oh, like just making noises. And we say hello, dude. I'm like getting nervous, like talk. It's making me on edge because like it's real. So we were like, I was like hello, and my friend Liam, he's like hello, and it's silent after we say that, and we hear a girl's voice from down there, like make like a noise, like it was like a like a little laugh, and initially, this is how we know this is how I know I heard it. I heard the laugh. We all looked at each other. Like you guys know that Spider-Man meme where they all point at each other, all the Spider-Mans. That's what we were like. Like we looked at each other like we literally made that face. We were like just looked at each other, and we all just fucking sprinted out of the building. Like
Yeah,
we
we've
heard
been
like a
gone.
little girl laugh down there, and we were like, fuck that. No, that wasn't enough. We had to do more. We had to do
You
more
guys are
that same
so
night, even though
dumb.
we were so fucking scared of that stupid little girl and that stupid train station. We're like, you know what? Let's go somewhere else now. I'm sure it won't happen again. So we just relaxed and everything, and we're like, we're gonna go find somewhere else. And we discovered on the interwebs that one of the most haunted buildings in New York was in Lockport. Happens to be there, not the train station. No, it was an abandoned mental asylum. That's what it was, an abandoned
Why
mental
would you mess with
asylum.
that?
So we were like, no, we didn't think like, no, we're not gonna go there. That's too fucking. We're like, let's get in the car and let's fucking go right now. Like right after that experience.
You're so
So
dumb.
20 minutes later, we get there, And again, it was probably like a mile walk. Like we had to park somewhere and we walked there, like all five of us. And at this point, it's probably like 1 in the morning. At this point, like it's like one at this point. So we get there and it's all boarded up and everything. Like there was a giant fence around it. So we had to crawl under. There was a hole in the fence because I assume other people went there. We all crawled under the fence and all the windows were boarded up. Like there was like pretty much no way you can get in there. But we were like, nah, nah, nah. We're gonna figure this fucking shit out. So we're walking around the building trying to find an opening to get inside. And pretty much we find this hallway and stuff. And we walk through this hallway. It is fucking insane. Like there was probably like a foot of trash on the ground. Like our feet weren't even touching the ground. We were just walking through the trash on the ground and there was graffiti all over the walls and everything. And in this tunnel there was an opening, like a little like crevice that our bodies could fit through that led into the inside of the
Oh my
buildings.
gosh.
So we're like, fuck it, let's go in. We get in. We're on the first floor. We're walking around the first floor, and it's like this empty, desolate room, and it literally looked like a prison type place. Like the floor was cement, the walls were fucking like they were brick, and the windows were all boarded up. Like there was this wood, and like on the inside of the wood, there was pentagrams. I don't know if you guys know what pentagrams are, but they are the portals to demonic entities. Like it's like a star, and then there's the circle around the star, and they were on the boards inside the building. So immediately I felt horrible vibes, horrible vibes. Like I felt like there is some bad fucking shit here. Like there's something bad. I felt so nauseous. Again, how I felt at the girl's house with the Ouija board. I felt the same level of discomfort and nobody else really felt it. They were like, "Oh, this is creepy," but like, let's stay here for a bit. And pretty much, my friend Liam, he was like, we should do like a fucking like seance type thing. Like, I'll pull up an app on my phone and get like an EDM thing, like the energy frequency thing, and just like see if there's some shit here. I'm like, Liam, don't fuck with that shit. Like, there's something bad here. I don't feel good at all. I don't feel comfortable at all right now. And luckily, like the time that we spent in that building, a police car came. Like because like I think there must have been cameras. They must have saw us trespassing and shit.
Yeah.
There was a car that pulled up, like whipped right in front of the building. We could see the lights and everything, like bright lights. So we sprint out of the building and we sprint out the back and we just sprint out into the distance and we got out there and got away from the cops and everything. We were only in the building literally for like 3 minutes before the cop. But in that time I was there, it was the worst vibes I've ever felt in my fucking life. If I stayed there any longer, I
Horrifying.
guarantee something would have like attached to one of us.
That's so scary.
But that was like definitely like one of the creepiest nights of my life. But here's also something that I want to talk about too. There's like this thing where there's movies that are cursed and everything. Like I don't know if you guys heard about the Poltergeist, the filming of the Poltergeist. Like a lot of the cast members died from it and they got like sick immediately after it and all that shit
Really?
because like apparently the movie was filmed on Indian burial grounds.
Don't screw with that.
Me and Maria had experiences with the movie The Conjuring, and what I found out was
Oh.
interesting recently. What came out is The Conjuring 2, not 1. I think it's number 1 that we watched.
Hmm.
The Conjuring 2 is cursed, apparently.
Is it really?
It is. That came out recently because like apparently the actor Patrick Wilson, when he was filming there, during The Conjuring 2, wherever the location was, he had nights where he was having terrible night terrors at night and like not being able to sleep at all, be getting sick all the time. That went for Vera Farmiga. She was the female as well in there.
Hmm.
She got incredibly sick after the filming of Conjuring 2. And
Really?
like bad fucked up shit was happening to them. And apparently someone got possessed while they were watching The Conjuring 2. Like someone got possessed.
How?
And that's like The Conjuring 2. So Patrick Wilson, the actor, and Vera Farmiga, they had shit happen to them. And then someone watching the film had bad shit happen in their house as well. And this has actually been a lot of cases where like while they're watching the movie, some weird shit would happen. Like the lights would turn on or a door would slam shut. And that would happen during The Conjuring 2 specifically. Marie and I, we didn't even know. This came out literally like a few months ago.
I
She
didn't
told me.
even hear.
I thought I told you about this.
You might have,
I think
but
I did. Like they were saying The Conjuring 2 was a cursed movie because like bad shit was happening to people. Marie and I, every time we watched The
every
Conjuring
single
1,
time.
something bad
And
happens.
not even like on a small level. Not like, oh, I ran out of something, had to
And
go to
it
the store,
we
but
don't
like
even
something seriously
we
bad.
don't even make it into the movie. Like it's the opening of the movie, so it's like the dramatic fucking trumpet music, and
Yeah.
then the Conjuring comes up like the "Hoo-wee," like that part. Literally, something bad happens immediately. So Maria and I, the first time we watched The Conjuring together, we were at my house, and this was like July 4th weekend. She came up to my house for a week. I'm not gonna get into the whole details and stuff, but like she came up to my house and we watched The Conjuring,
I
and
tried
we
to.
were about to watch The Conjuring. We got to the opening screen, and then shit went down with my family immediately. I had to leave my house, and that was the day I actually moved out of my house, and I haven't been there in like 2 years practically at this point,
Yeah.
over 2 years at this point. But
Things
that
got
was the
very
day
bad.
everything went really bad with my family, and I had to up and leave. And that was like literally 5 minutes into watching The Conjuring. That's when everything went down. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get into the whole story. I'm not. That's my
No.
problem. But like things went down with my family, and we were watching The Conjuring, like about to,
That
right
night.
before that happened. And so I left my house. Fast forward a few months later, I want to watch it with Maria again and Sarah. I open up The Conjuring with the opening scenes come down, and my dad comes to where I live, and we weren't on good terms at the time, and shit went down with my dad at the time, like when
Yeah.
we were watching The Conjuring. I was like, what is up with this?
It got bad
And like
again.
every time I'm
I
pretty sure
want to say there was a couple
there was a
other
couple
times
other times.
too.
It was like we didn't connect it, but
No, until
after
later
like till
on.
later on, but like every time we watch The Conjuring, something bad happens.
Yeah.
Like either in our personal, and not like demonic necessary, but
No,
like
but
in
like
our personal lives,
personal.
like we get bad mojo, like shit goes down,
Yeah.
like something bad happens. There's usually like an argument that ensues, even with us. Like I think we had like an argument or some shit.
Yeah, we got into
Like
like a really big fight the one time. I'm trying to figure out if that was my sister had an incident after I had the thing whatever it was attached to me at college where she was sitting upstairs with me one
right, this
night.
was the night we were talking about it.
Yeah, and I was on
Right.
FaceTime with Zach and I was like, I'm sorry, like I gotta let you go real quick. Like my sister Sarah's not feeling good at all, like she's not doing too hot. And she's just like curled up on my floor, like shaking. She's like, I think I'm gonna throw up. She goes downstairs and is like projectile vomiting for like hours. Like
Yeah.
can't get off the bathroom floor. Like like the memes about people who drink too much and they're just like clutching to the
Yeah.
toilet, like
That was
that.
Sarah,
But
yeah.
it was out of nowhere. Like she was totally fine, and then we were like talking about this stuff, and then I can't remember if it was us talking about it or if
I
it
think you
was
were talking
like
about the Devil's Hole
the
incident.
devil's hole stuff, and she got so violently sick out of
It's
absolutely nowhere.
crazy, bro.
It was just we've had too many like it's weird. At what point do you stop calling it a coincidence and acknowledge that like, oh, this is a
No, yeah,
thing?
there's a lot of cool, interesting stuff in the world. Like I even say good things like that happen that I think proves that there is like something greater. Like there's something afterlife. There's some stuff that plays into people's lives, either good or bad. Um, I think one of the coolest stories I heard like ever, Ted Bundy. This is fucking
That gave
crazy.
me chills
This is a
so
true
bad.
story. This is the serial killer Ted Bundy, the guy that killed like a bunch of women. I think it was like for sex, like he would have sex with them, then he would kill them, blah blah blah.
Horrible person.
Horrible person, horrible person. So there's this story that I read once. I don't remember the name specifically of the woman, but I'm sure you could find it on the internet if you look it up. But there was this girl, and she was in college. This is like actually when Ted Bundy escaped his the prison, and he went to Florida to evacuate. So he went to Florida State University, I believe, or whichever place it was.
I
It
don't
was in
remember.
Florida.
It
I
was a
do know
school
that.
though.
It was a school in Florida, and that's where Ted Bundy went after he escaped from jail because he was hiding there and stuff. So this girl, she went to this school, and she was a very religious girl, pretty much. Not really, but like her parents like forced religion on her. They like made her say the rosary every single night. Like every night before she went to bed, she had to say the rosary. That was her one rule for being in college by the parents. Like she was allowed to live at her dorm and everything unless she said the rosary every single night. So she made sure to do that. She would call her parents and tell her like, "Hey, I did it. I said the rosary." Blah blah blah. And this is during Ted Bundy times and shit. And I'm sure she didn't expect this. So Ted Bundy went to this school that one night, and this is a pretty famous night where he killed two girls at Florida State University that attended there. And he was in the college at the time. Like, he was actually walking around the campus and
Hmm.
everything. So, pretty much, this girl, she was asleep in her bed, and she heard screaming, like, in her dorm, like, bad shit going down outside, and she heard someone sprinting down the hallway, and she was like, what the fuck is going on? Her door slams open, and Ted Bundy, who she finds out later, she didn't even know who it was at the time.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy is standing at the door, and I think he was going to kill her. But for some reason, he stood at the door, and this is from her perspective at the time. She had no idea. This is from her perspective. He's standing at the door, and he's there for like 10 seconds just standing, and then he runs away. He just stares at her and runs away. And she was like, what the fuck is happening? And later on, she finds out that two girls were killed in the same hallway as her,
Yeah.
and that was Ted Bundy. Fast forward a few years. Let's get into that. This is the day that he was supposed to be killed. This is the day that he was going to be killed and executed for all the crimes that he did. The interviewer asked him, and about this girl and stuff, because like the girl came forward and said like, yeah, Ted Bundy came to my room and shit, but he didn't do anything. Like, he
Yeah.
actually was just standing there. He didn't like kill me. He just
It
stood
was
there and
really
stared at me.
weird.
It was really weird. So the reporter asked Ted Bundy about this. He's like, do you remember at all, like, when you were at Florida State University, that there was this girl's room that you went into and you stood there and then you just ran away? You didn't do anything. Like, you didn't, why didn't you kill that girl? Why didn't you go after her? Like, you just went in there. And apparently, like, this whole demeanor changed immediately. And he was like, oh, I wanted to kill her. That's what he's like. I wanted to kill her, but something wasn't letting me go in there. I tried to move forward, but there was a force pushing me back, like a physical.
And this is like
I
on
have fucking
tape.
goosebumps right now. Like,
This
the
is
dead ass.
on
This is on
tape. He
tape.
said this.
He had a physical fucking force push him back out of the room. Like, when he tried to enter, a force pushed
That's
him back,
so
and he got
crazy.
spooked out and ran away. He's like, I had every intent of killing her, but I didn't because
I couldn't.
I
Yeah.
literally couldn't get in there, and I got spooked out and I ran away.
That's
And
so
that girl said the
crazy.
rosary every night, and that's like, and that's
See, and
something
that's where
greater
the
playing,
connection comes to like
and that's where the connection plays,
everything
like, for
else.
everything. Nuts,
That's just so
nuts. When I
scary.
heard that story, I was like, that is fucking crazy. So that's the infamous Ted Bundy story right there. Pretty interesting to say the least. Which leads to a different question, because like all this ghost stuff leads to a lot of different shit. Do you believe in God? That's like one of the most controversial topics in the game. Do you believe in the idea of God or a God? Christianity, Buddhism, Wesleyan. There's like so many
I don't
different
even know
religions.
what Wesleyan is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just crazy how like there are so many fucking different religions and interpretations of a greater being, which is nuts to me. But like, do you believe in like God and Christianity? Because like we grew up Christian. I went to a Catholic
We
school.
both grew up Catholic.
Yeah, I
I
went
grew
to.
up old school
Yeah,
Catholic.
she
Like
grew
I
up
know
Latin mass.
Latin.
I went to I went to a Catholic school, Christian school, St. Joe's. Shout out St. Joe's. Great place. Um, but I don't know like what I believe, because like me personally, I don't pray anymore. I
Yeah.
used to pray and stuff. I want to, but at the same time I don't, because like I feel like you're in control of your own life, and I feel like
Yeah.
God doesn't have a role in that, you know? Like, you can ask for strength and stuff, but like I don't know why. I just don't like praying
Yeah.
much. I don't know why.
So like I have a lot of strong opinions on religion, some good, some bad, just because like having grown up Latin, Mass, Catholic, like I have seen the old school, so
And
I've
that's
seen
what
the
I
good
don't like
and
about
bad.
religion, because like the world has changed so much.
It's so
Yet
different.
religion expects you to stay
The exact
the
same.
same. Like, you don't evolve. Like, the Bible was made, well, think about it. The Bible, the New Testament, is thousands and thousands of years ago, so shit's gonna be different now.
And not to mention, there's no way to actually fact check anything. Like, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
let's be honest here, we can sit in circles and argue about religion, there's no
It's
way to prove or disprove any of it.
no, it's just
Like, you're
crazy.
wasting your energy.
It's just like, I don't know. I believe in like a greater being, but I don't know if it's like the stuff that's like portrayed in, let's say, the Christian Bible, that what I grew up on, because like some of the stories are just absolutely fucking ridiculous. like the fucking city of Sodom or whatever, like when there was a too much sin in there, it got burned to the ground by God, and then the female looked back, and you weren't supposed to look back, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Like, think of how fucking crazy that sounds. I don't know if you guys know that story. And apparently,
I
the pillar of
don't.
salt is still there. Like, it's like, oh, that's her right there. And people say it's that. And it's like a fucking 10-foot tall
So she
pillar of
grew
salt.
too?
So she
That's
grew
kind of
too. And I'm like,
interesting.
that's fucking crazy. But, like, there's like stories like that in there that I'm like, what the
Mm.
fuck is that?
But then if you talk to Catholics or Christians, they're the same people with the audacity to shut down like Greek gods and stuff because they're like, think about it. Is that realistic?
But the
And I'm
pillar
like,
of salt girl is
hold
fucking
on,
is fucking
hold
real.
on
Like
a
that's
second.
that's the shit right there. The salt girl.
So here's my hot take. I believe in science, meaning
Facts.
facts and evidence, but that doesn't mean that I'm ignorant in understanding that for based on science, for everything that exists there is an equal opposite. And I do firmly and strongly believe in there being negative entities, whether it be demons or that kind of really, really extreme bad energies that are out of this world, which means, based on science, based on factual evidence, shit that has been proven by renowned, educated scientists, there has to be an equal opposite, meaning there has to be an equal amount of good in some outer worldly, whether it be angels or whatever you
Yeah.
call it, some equal opposite positive. So, as far as a God is concerned, I do believe that there is something. However, I think that where humanity has gone astronomically wrong has been in the creation of religion. Because religion, based on history alone, has caused
Religious
far,
conquests.
far more negative than it has ever caused positive.
I think as far as back then and even now to some degree, people can't stand we can't accept the idea of religion. I think humans
No,
aren't
we
meant
can't handle
to
it.
handle it because like something that you're not sure about and something that you can't comprehend fully drives people insane and it leads to fucking so many differing opinions which leads to fucking war, arguments, hatred of each
Well,
other.
and when
People just
you
can't stand the idea or accept something that they don't know truly is real. Like,
yeah, and when you the problem with religion is it's not arguing about like even politics. People get heated over
yeah,
politics because it can be personal. The problem with religion is not only does it become very personalized argument, it becomes an argument about a greater good, a greater being. So you get this
yeah,
like heightened sense of like, oh, I'm better than thou kind of thing when you're arguing. So not only is it attacking like your personal beliefs when you argue about these things, but people get incredibly defensive because they're like,
yeah.
no, my idea of what happens after life is true, and there's no way anybody else can be correct on that. And I don't think that's the case. I think
I
if there
think
is a God, it's a mix of everything.
I think like the especially like Christianity, I think the ideology of Christianity has gotten like screwed. Like it's looked at as a cult by any outsider that's not Christianity. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to be a fucking crazy Christian." That's what they're called, like crazy Christians because like
Yeah.
they a lot of Christians hate to say like they just look down on everybody. They have the holier than thou mentality.
Yeah.
I have personally have gone through it. I grew up in a house like when we were kids, like we were not the richest family in the fucking world. We couldn't go to church for months at a time because like my father was working all the time. My mom was at home all the time. We had no other family. It was just them two. And we couldn't go to church on Sundays. So and people would look down on us like people that would go to church to be like, oh, they're not real Christians. Oh, they're this. They didn't accept like, oh, like they're going through shit right now and they can't make it right now, blah blah blah. And like even like I had this friend, what's his name was what's call him Andrew. Andrew, like he had this friend, his mom was like a huge religious freak, huge Christian person, like would go to pretty much weekday mass and like the weekend, everything, blah blah blah. And he was one of my very good friends. And I would tell him like I watch horror movies and shit. And his mom didn't like that at all, and she would shit on me so badly and say, like, "Don't hang out with Zach. He watches horror movies. Blah blah blah. He's a bad
Why?
person." And
Why
that's
are they
like she was
so
like, "You should be." And I'm
judgy?
like, "They're just so judgy." And I'm like, first of all, it's a fucking horror movie. They're fake. They're
Yeah,
fake.
it's
I watch
fake.
these fake movies because they're fun. I like to get scared. I used to watch slasher films like fucking Michael Myers and Chucky and like these paranormal activity movies. But like, I don't think like watching those makes you a fucking bad person. That's what she said. Like she was like, "Oh, he's not a good person to hang out with. He's a bad influence on you
How does
because he
that make
watches horror
any
movies." Even
sense?
though my fucking morals are A1. A1.
Yeah, and you're not going around judging
No,
people
and I
for how
don't.
they live their
And
life.
I
Like,
didn't
that's far
and I didn't
worse.
judge her for how like much she went to church. I didn't call her like crazy Christian fucking mom or whatever. No.
Yeah,
I started calling her that after when she said it to me first. Like when I
yeah.
found out like,
Because you
"Oh,
can't.
you can't hang off him anymore cuz he watches horror movies. He's
No.
not a true Christian." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "What the
Who
fuck kind of
cares?
what kind of cult is this?" Like, "Oh, I can't be there cuz I watch horror movies." Or
See, and
whatever.
that's my problem with religion. Like, you can believe in a God, you can believe in afterlife, you can believe in these the aspects of religion that affect us beyond our life on earth. But when you start nitpicking rules written in a book, paraphrasing things that are thousands of years old, and then taking it upon yourself to say, I'm better than them, I'm right, they're wrong, with nobody having any facts besides
And it's true.
a book that you can't
And I
fact check and attacking
and
people
I've
for it.
seen it
Like,
with
how can you conduct your life like that?
and once they have that idea in their head like where they're
It's
like
stuck. You're
no, like
stuck.
even like when they think like they're holier than thou, that goes into any argument they have in their
Yeah.
life that's not even with religion. Like if you have a
Yeah.
disagreement on something, they'll be like, "Well, I'm morally better than you, so I'm right," even though if they're wrong or whatever in some
Yeah, and
regards. Do
there's
you know
no
what I mean?
separation of church and state once they get to
No,
the once you get
exactly.
to
That's
that
what's like.
point.
Like I go to church every Sunday, so
Congrats.
God's gonna forgive me easier than you will. Like shit like that. It's like fucking crazy.
My favorite thing is when I'll argue with someone, I'll be like, "Yeah, no, the Bible actually like it doesn't say these certain things."
Yeah.
And then they'll like quote the Bible back at me. Or if you tell them like, "Yeah, I don't say for kicks, say I'm not religious. I don't believe in religion." I've seen this so many times cuz my parents are religious. Like they'll have arguments with people who aren't, and they'll be like, "Yeah, I don't believe in Christianity because of blah 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 reason, whatever."
Yeah.
And they'll be like, actually, you can't tell us we're wrong because in the Bible it says we're right. And I'm like, do you not understand how much
But
that
that's
makes
the
no
thing,
sense? If
because
you don't believe in religion,
no,
then the Bible
no,
doesn't
because
matter
like
either.
every religion says they're right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm like,
Like
so no one.
Buddhism, they say Siddhartha Gautama is the real fucking true
Yeah.
being. For fucking
And they all have
Judaism,
stories and books
Hinduism,
and
Wesleyan, like
proof.
all of these people have different perspectives, and they all think they're right. What makes Christianity's right and everybody else is fucked
Yeah,
up? Like that's just so annoying. Even like for like
because it's been
that's
normalized
where
with.
all these fucking wars have happened.
Yeah.
Like ever, it's all based on religion and people trying to impose and assimilate their religious beliefs on other cultures, which leads to fucking disaster.
I hate to be that person, but the reason Christianity is so much worse than a lot of other religions as far as like
Yeah.
how they treat people is because Christianity and Catholicism was widely used and accepted with higher class, upper class
Yeah,
white men, which
exactly.
has always been like the top tier in the world. So because white men believe in it, it becomes like,
If you want to
the
like
normal, the rule of whatever. It's just
and
like accepted.
it's just insane because like everything about the Bible back in the day, like if you want to go true, people that are like really true to the Bible, like I feel bad specifically for females because like
You have no
you
rights.
have to wear shawls at church and like go on your knees when you receive the communion, and that's like for women specifically.
Yeah,
Like
women don't have
that's a
rights if
fact.
you actually go based
That's
on
a
the Bible to
fact.
the
Like it's
fullest.
like our place is to fucking be
Serve.
submissive as
It's to
fuck.
be submissive and serve
And I'm like,
men.
really? That's what God wanted? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Like I would think he would see every person as fucking equal.
Yeah.
And
If
like
there is a true God, it's not that
yeah.
one.
And I'm like, no way, because that's what true Christianity is like
Oh, I
down to the
know.
core.
I
You wear
saw
your
it.
shawls, you go on your knees, and you take
Yeah.
the communion or
No,
whatever.
growing
But
up.
men don't have to do that. They don't. Then men should
No,
have to wear
because men are.
shawls, right?
No, men are better, of
Like what the
course.
fuck, dude?
No, growing up Catholic, I remember going to the Latin Mass as a little girl, even. And like we had the girls had to wear like dresses all the way down,
Yeah.
and you had to like cover your face. Sorry, had to cover your face and wear like the veil and everything. And like you were supposed to like literally was told to us like keep your head down, like don't be like looking up and looking
Yeah.
around, like don't make any noise, don't move around in your seat, don't be like fumbling with things, just hold the book. If you don't know what it says, just stare at it and pretend.
Yeah.
And like you had to kneel for certain stuff, and like the rules were just like, as I'm trying to think of like things that were instilled in my head as a little girl that like directly correlated to coming from like a religious place, but they were all negative. It was like you're not supposed to, you're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have kids,
Yeah.
and just like even the way you allow a relationship to be conducted, like it's always in a very like
Yeah.
submissive, like serving manner. Like,
No,
and that's just
I'm,
so messed
I'll
up.
get
And you
open
have
and
the purity culture, all of that. It's
no.
so
That's what I
toxic.
wanted to get into, like even stuff like that. Like, cause I remember back in the day, I was like a little bit of a hoe. I would like make out with girls. I didn't have sex or anything like back in the day, but I was like being a little hoe, making out with a bunch of people. And I went to confession. We both went to confession
Oh, this
and
is when I
stuff.
stopped going to church,
This
like
is and that
110%. I have
honestly,
not stepped in a
first of
church
all, I don't
since.
know if I should blame Christianity or should I blame the priest. But like the priest is supposed to know Christianity through and
But
through,
he's the human
and
interpreter
he
for
is
something that's
he is
incorrect to begin with.
he is basically the catalyst for Christianity.
Yeah.
He is the mediator for Christianity. He's the one that imparts the knowledge onto other people and morals and everything, blah blah blah.
So if he does that incorrectly,
Yes.
that's
So
him.
we went to confession, and I'll tell you guys what I fucking said. I said like, yo, I didn't say yo, but
I got
I
that
was
big
like,
suck.
yo, I like made out with a bunch of girls. I was being impure. I was doing some pretty stuff, like uh, all that stuff,
Morally
bad
wrong
stuff,
church
morally
things.
morally bad church things, blah
Things
blah,
you're told you
around
have to
this sex,
confess.
like making out, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And he was like, oh, God forgives you, blah blah, and all that stuff. He didn't say anything about purity for me or anything, like none of that shit at all. He was like, God forgives you, make sure to say your Our Father, Hail Mary, and he gave me a fucking hug on the way out. And so he was like, hey, and I just told him about, I also opened up to him about my life and stuff, like how I lost my family and everything, and just talking about bad shit that happened in my life. And then I talked about the stuff that I did wrong as like being like impure and everything. And he was like, oh, like, yeah, you shouldn't do stuff like that. Pretty much that's what it was to the core. You shouldn't do stuff like that. But God forgives you. Say your Our Father and Hail Mary, gave me a hug, and I got out. She went in after me, and let's just get right into that. And it's hilarious.
I'm
Like it's
gonna
hilarious. Like he
literally
was so nice.
scream.
No.
So I go in, and first thing first, I sit down across from him, and he's looking at me creepy as hell. I know I'm gonna have people who's like, oh, she's reading into things, but like, I wasn't. He was being like really creepy right off the bat, so like the vibes were off. Like he closed the door behind us. It was just like super awkward. So I'm like, all right, off to a great start. And of course, I go in. I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just like, you're gonna kind of have to like lead me through this, whatever. But I'm trying. So I go in and I'm talking to him, blah, blah, blah. And I have basically the same conversation as Zach did. I'm like, look, these are things that I'm taught should be confessing to you. I don't really know why it's your business, but here you go. I like men and I be doing things sometimes. And,
I do be out here.
I do be out here doing things sometimes. Yeah. Yikes. And I basically got a lecture about how he told me this was his wording because I said a couple other things too. And I'm like, yeah, basically I just suck. And he's like, well, one of these things is not like the other. It stands out. And I'm like, care to elaborate, bucko? And he's like, yeah, I don't think you realize like the seriousness of like, and I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but like the seriousness of engaging in sexual activities with a man prior to marriage. Like even brought up marriage. I'm like, sir, I don't want to get married ever, so it's never premarital anything because I'm not doing that. And he's like, it's really sad nowadays that these women think that you can just throw yourself around to anybody. Have you even thought about your future husband's feelings on this? I'm like, sir, my future husband doesn't exist.
Dude. And that's so funny because like I said pretty much the same because I did the same shit she did like in like my childhood days and shit. He didn't say any of that to me. He was like he gave me a hug and he's like, it's okay, man, just don't do it again in the future. He didn't say about purity. He didn't say like, oh, abstinence for your future wife. Nah, he didn't say any of that shit to me. He gave me a hug.
I have never been.
He slapped me up. He was like, "You have sex? That's my boy."
I have never been so close to assaulting a member of the church before in my life, but the urge that went through me to reach across the table, right over the Holy Bible, and beat the shit out of this man.
Why do women?
The audacity.
No, like that's a thing though. Like, why do women get shit on so much more
for being
for
impure?
Sexual activity?
It's not impure.
More than men. Like men are to some degree like are praised for it. Very deep stuff right there. Wow, that's our take on all that shit right there. Speaking of shit.
What a transition.
Yeah, I would give
He's like,
myself
speaking
a
of
pat on the
shit.
back for that.
Jeez.
Dude, the other day, guys, you guys gotta help me if you guys are still here listening at this point. I have a severe caffeine problem. Like, I can't stop drinking it, dude. Like, I was talking about it in the beginning of this podcast. I was like, yesterday I woke up, I felt like hell. I didn't start feeling good till like 9 o'clock at night last night once I finally got my energy drink in me. But, like, the other day, holy shit. Like, I have never pooped so many times in my fucking life. I had this Celsius. It was a watermelon Celsius. It was a different flavor. This just shows like how routine my body is. I have kiwi guava every day for Celsius. I have it at like 9, 10 o'clock every single morning. But the other day, like 2 days ago, I had a watermelon Celsius, and it was probably like at 1-ish, I'd say. So it was a different time and everything. Bro, I was pooping every like 10 minutes. Like a lot. Like I pooped 7 times. I had to take an anti-diarrhea pill because it was like distracting me from getting my work done. Like I had to edit a video, but I had to keep getting up to go poop.
That's.
So I don't know what to do. Like I need caffeine, but goddamn, it makes me poop so fucking bad. I don't know if you have that problem. Do you?
I don't really struggle with this as much.
Do girls even poop?
Yes, girls.
I don't believe that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
never have seen her poop in my
Dude,
life,
Sarah
guys.
poops like every time she
Yeah, but
comes
that's
over.
different. She's not a real girl though.
I'm sorry.
It's just true though. Like guys, have you ever seen like your mom or anything poop like in person? Like I will poop with the door open, like no shame in the pooping game.
Don't ever do
I
that.
actually let people know. I'm like, guys, I'm going to take a shit right now. Like, why is it so different for girls? Like, they don't want to say like when they're gonna poop. Like, girls never say, "Hey, I'm gonna go take a shit right now." Like, you've never tell me that. You hide it. Like, girls always hide it. Like, why can't you be proud of it? It's a natural, biological, human thing that everybody
I don't
does.
know. Girls are. I feel like girls are just more private about stuff.
Why?
I don't know. They
It's
just are.
guys would
I've
be.
known girls
Do
who
you
are
know
like that.
how excited guys would be if like they knew like their girls were pooping actually?
Why would that make you excited?
Because like it just makes you.
That makes me
I
want to
don't
tell
know.
you less.
No, it makes you. I see that, but that's what makes it special though, because like you're like you become vulnerable. Like you actually tell like your
I'm not
man's.
vulnerable.
You tell your man's like, hey, by the way, girls do poop, and
I
I'm like,
literally just told
I
you that.
I know I get it, but like you never tell me like when you're gonna take a shit. Like yo Zach, I'm gonna go take a shit. Never have heard you say that.
Why would I?
You should,
Why
because
does it
I
need to
do,
be announced?
because I do.
Good for you.
You look happy and healthy, not me, if you even cared. Sorry. Um, but yeah, on a real note though, your hair looks very nice.
Thanks.
Dude, I tried dyeing my hair platinum blonde back in the day, and went bald.
I do remember that. That was your whole scalp. I remember I was like trying to put deep conditioner in. It was just like
Horrible.
fire truck red.
I'm gonna do it again.
Oh God.
When I get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I will go platinum again. But right, I won't
Correctly
fucking
this time. Don't
won't-
over bleach.
knock off all my hair and shit like that. Pretty nuts.
That was so bad. I still have pictures of that.
I know.
Like it was
Yours
rough.
looks nice though.
Yeah,
You did
mine
it
came
right
out
actually.
decently.
It doesn't look bad at all.
It's not like
pretty cool.
true platinum, but it's really, really, really light blonde.
It's gonna get there.
Yeah.
If you do it like one more time, maybe. Maybe we should get you to the white toner or some shit like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably talk to a professional because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of making it up
I'm
as
just
I go.
out here, man, doing my thing.
It's gotta go with it.
You know what I mean?
I just needed something new.
Yeah. Did you see the Jake Paul fight?
I didn't, but
Dude,
I heard about it. I
So
was at
funny.
work.
Yo, there's this one kid that was streaming the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight.
I've heard about this.
He had it in so he like had this, he had it on a screen, and then like he had a mirror so like everybody could see it, like it was behind him in the mirror, so it was like a secret way of showing us the stream. Dude, there was like 70,000 fucking people in there. Like he did it the first time, 70,000 people were watching it, and he was so fucking funny. This kid, he was probably like 12, 13 years old, and he was like saying, "Oh, here comes Jake Pussy Paul." Like he was just making jokes like that. I'm like, dude, this kid's a legend. And his stream got canceled. And we're like, oh shit, that's the end of that kid. And he comes back 5 minutes later again. And we're like, how the fuck is this kid doing it? But yo, the fight though, what a joke, dude. So that went like the full 8 rounds with Tyron Woodley. Tyron rocked Jake. Like he actually like got knocked out for a little bit. Like he got blacked. I don't even know if you saw that.
No, I
Fourth
haven't
round,
seen any of
Tyron
it.
rocked his shit, bro. Like that was the first time he got knocked. Like the rope saved him, and Jake technically won due to points and everything. I was like, bruh, fuck that guy. I hate Jake Paul, dude. He is such a cocky son of a bitch. It's gonna catch up to him. Like I'm telling you guys, there's such a fine line between confidence and cockiness, and Jake Paul is on that cockiness line
And
right
once
now.
it catches up, it just like spirals
turning
out
back,
of
bro.
control.
Yeah, but like honestly though, like the fight was kind of like not worth $60. Like, one, no one got knocked out, and two, honestly, I'd feel bad if I was Jake, like low key, because Tyron Woodley isn't even a boxer, and they went the full 8 rounds. Like, theoretically, Jake has been doing this for like fucking 4 years, and he didn't knock out Tyron Woodley at
That's
all.
sad.
And I'm like, bro, the dude just started boxing. Like, yeah, he does MMA and shit, but
But
like
it's
that's such
not
a different
boxing.
sport. It's
It's
not
not
boxing. So
boxing.
theoretically, you should have knocked him out. And he's 40. Jake is 20. He's in his prime. You could have easily knocked him out. Like, it wasn't really a great performance on Jake, and I don't even know if he's gonna like continue to do
The only
boxing
thing I saw
because
about it.
he got rocked for the first time ever, and
See,
like
that's funny because the only thing I've seen is Logan posted like a clip from the fight on
yeah,
his like Instagram story or something, and I was just clicking through and
yeah.
saw it, and it was like saying how Jake had rocked the other guy and like caught him or
No,
something.
yeah, I saw that too, but no, Jake actually got rocked. He fell into the
That's
ropes and
funny.
shit. Like
That
he was
just
like
goes to show what the media
he
like
got
how
knocked
you
out.
can
It was fucking
pick
hilarious.
clips.
But like that's what I'm saying. I don't. I honestly could see Jake not doing it because like that was the first time he got rocked, and it probably wasn't a good feeling. And like, dude, I'd be scared if I was him because he didn't fight an actual boxer yet,
Yeah.
and he almost lost. Like he actually could have lost. Like if he actually, if like Tyron kept going after he hurt him really badly because he like hesitated after and didn't keep. That's when he should have thrown. But dude, if Tyron kept throwing punches after he got that good hit in, bro, Jake would have been over to a 40-year-old MMA fighter that's not even a boxer. Like that was funny as fuck to
Yeah.
me. So I
I
really hope
respect the work he's putting
I
in,
do,
but
but I
like
really hope Jake loses. I want his
he's
career to
just
be over
so
for that.
cocky
He's such
though.
an asshole, dude.
Like
All right, well that's enough for today. I just wanted to talk about that really quick. My camera's about to die. I got my second battery, and at this point, it's already about to
yeah,
die.
how is it
Yeah.
going to?
But yo, guys, thank you so much for joining the second episode of Your Mom's University. I hope we got some good stuff in here. We talked about ghost stories, the Catholic Church,
Yikes.
Jake Paul, like all that crazy stuff. I'm sure we're gonna have a little more lighthearted episode next
Yeah, we'll
week.
keep it chill next week.
But thank you guys for joining so much. We really appreciate it. Please comment down below what you guys want to see, like what type of topics you want us to talk about.
Ask
We
some
will keep
questions.
yeah, we'll keep that in mind always for sure. And yeah, we'll see you next Friday or next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
But until next time, I'll be kissing your mom. Take it easy, my friends.